Her tolerance began to run out and something had to be done. It had become an emergency. And isn't that how so many of our boundaries are born? Join me this week for the seventh pillar in our recap series, Boundaries with Grace, When Tolerance Runs Out. Hello, friends, and welcome back to The Free Advantage, brought to you by The Risky Path. I'm Heather Davis, and I want to invite you to join me each week as we explore self-discovery, authenticity, and the journey to recovering a life of freedom. This podcast is about sharing and exploring impactful experiences that we all share in a relatable and digestible way. And with so much information out there, it can be overwhelming to take it all in. But here, I want to give you small bites that you can take back into your week and integrate into your daily life. Hello, friends, and welcome back. I am so excited that you guys are joining me this week. As the holiday season is upon us and the end of the year comes, I have been thinking a lot about boundaries. Last night, I spent the entire night and morning with my sweet cousin in the ER. She had been dealing with some pain in her body over the past couple of days that had slowly started to creep up on her, and it eventually turned into severe pain that she could no longer manage with her mind or over-the-counter medicine. So she called me, and to the ER we went. Throughout that night, I witnessed her go through many emotions, a lot of pain, and other uncomfortable symptoms that no one here really wants to hear about. But it really had me thinking. I was fixing to come on the show today and talk about boundaries, and then it just seemed that life put it right back in my face, just to remind me. Boundaries are one of the most difficult things to do, setting them and living by them. And as I sat and watched my cousin go through her experience, I was watching her boundaries play out in real time. Her tolerance for pain, I watched her explain it away, pretend it wasn't happening, all the way to her absolutely suffering and still not doing anything about it, to eventually come into that place that, oh no, I have to do something. This is bad. Her tolerance began to run out and something had to be done, which ended up constituting an emergency. And I know anyone who has had an emergency trip surely knows the sequence of events. Watching her cycle through denial, tolerance, and finally truth mirrored everything that I had learned about boundaries. And just like us, in our emotional and mental worlds, it is much the same. We experience pain that we justify or explain away. We try and accept it like everything is fine. Then, when things become a little worse, we try and just pretend it isn't happening. We ignore it until eventually we come to a place where the pain is starting to interfere with our quality of life. Now, our tolerance for such things varies, right? It's from person to person, just like our physical tolerance. The threshold is different, but at some point, we all reach it. And the true question then really becomes not what is happening, but what are we going to do about it? So today, this week in our Fragmented to Free recap series, I want to talk about our seventh pillar, Boundaries with Grace. Most of us don't set boundaries until we've hit our emotional version of the ER. We wait until our tolerances run out, we become angry, and we lose clarity. We tolerate things that hurt us because we've been conditioned to keep the peace. We don't want to disappoint anyone. We're afraid of conflict. Or we believe we don't deserve better. We tolerate disrespect and depletion and emotional labor that's too heavy. We tolerate relationships where we give 90% and we receive 10%. And we tolerate silence, resentment, self-abandonment, and exhaustion. Not because we're weak, because we haven't been taught how to tell the truth with grace. Tolerance is not peace. It's delayed boundaries. Just like my cousin eventually realized this is bad, I have to do something, we too reach a point where our emotional pain interferes with the quality of our life. And that's when the boundaries emerge. Not as punishment, not as rejection, not as conflict, but as clarity. Boundaries are the end of pretending, the end of self-abandonment, of silent suffering, and they are the end of tolerating what breaks us. Boundaries invite us into honesty, not harshness, and it's honesty with compassion, with grace. And honestly, that's the part we're most afraid of, because the moment we stop tolerating what hurts, we disrupt the patterns that everyone else has benefited from. But really, that disruption, it's necessary. And the truth is, it's freedom. Grace is often pictured as soft and gentle. And don't get me wrong, it is. But it is also fierce. Grace will guard what is sacred, and it will close doors that aren't meant for you. Boundaries without grace become walls. And grace without boundaries becomes enablement. But boundaries with grace, that's where transformation lives. Grace is truth delivered with compassion. It sounds like, I love you, but this isn't okay for me. Or this matters to me and I need to honor that. Or I can't show up for you in that way, but I can show up like this. And sometimes it just means my peace matters too. Grace makes room for both, your truth and someone else's humanity. Boundaries tell the truth. Grace communicates that truth in love. And together, they create emotional safety for you and everyone else. Every boundary you set is a homecoming. It's a return to your wholeness. It's listening to what you need. And your boundaries reconnect you. They reconnect you to your values, your identity, your emotional limits, your spiritual alignment, and most of all, your worth. This is why boundaries can feel so uncomfortable, because they require us to stop performing and to start telling the truth. They require us to release tolerance and reclaim authenticity. They require us to pause and say, this hurts. It isn't working. Or this is really breaking something inside of me. And it is only when we tell the truth that we can become whole again. So, if you've been tolerating something you know is costing you peace, don't wait until it's an emergency. Don't wait to set the boundary until you become angry and then you can no longer show up with grace. You are not wrong for needing boundaries. You are not unkind. You are not dramatic. You are not selfish. You are simply waking up to the truth. And you are honoring your worth. You are choosing wholeness over fear. This week, I want to invite you to ask yourself, what am I tolerating that my spirit is no longer willing to carry? Because the moment tolerance ends, truth begins. And that is where we find freedom. Before we close, I want to remind you that next season of The Free Advantage is opening the door wider next year. We're stepping into a brand new chapter, real stories, real recovery, and real freedom. I'm inviting listeners to join me for honest, heart-centered conversations on the show next year. And if you're walking through recovery, rediscovering your worth, wrestling with purpose, or learning how to live whole again, I would love to hold space for your story. I'm also opening up Q&A episodes where you can send in your questions, reflections, or parts of your own journey that you would like me to unpack on air. All of the links to submit a story, apply for a guest spot, or send a question are in the show descriptions, show notes, and are on my website at theriskypath.com. I cannot wait to hear from you and step into this next season together. I want to thank you so much for joining me today on The Free Advantage. For more tools, support, and inspiration, please visit my website, theriskypath.com. And if this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who might need to hear this message. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. Your voice matters, and it helps us to grow and get our message out to more people just like you. Let's continue this journey to freedom together. And remember, freedom is the advantage you already own. Until next time.